takes 2 people to fill the shoes of the Hooner.
And even 3, because here's
3,
Mike Page
yeah.
with us.
Hey.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Countdown.
Okay, Anita, I'm going to move your water just a little bit. Thank you, sister.
So sorry.
We have a lot coming up this morning, and of course, we've all been talking and covering what's happening in D.C. And Mike, something you guys have been covering extensively in Live Now upstairs here at the Fox 10 studios, with President Trump making a big announcement today and kind of speaking and sharing some of the statistics. Can you share a little bit of that as well?
Yeah, so it was a big moment today where President Trump did his news conference, and he is going to be federalizing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. He feels that crime is up in the city. He feels that there's too many homeless around the areas of the Capitol. So he floated this idea last Wednesday. And if you know anything about President Trump and the way he kind of like talks these things out, he kind of floats the idea a little bit, see how it's going to work on the base, see how it's going to work with other people in Congress. It seemed like it worked well, and then boom, we get this announcement that he is going to federalize the
Yeah.
So he's pretty much in charge of the Metropolitan Police Department right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big deal when you consider kind of what he's proposing and what he's eventually expected to, kind of carry out there in D.C. Let's go ahead and bring in Luke Garrett. He's an editor at NPR News this morning. And let me give you a little bit. Luke, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Yeah. Celeste, Anita, and Mike, pleasure to be here.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to try to work on those mics real quick. 1 second, Luke. Can you guys hear that feedback?
I hear it, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. Luke, you look good, buddy. Thank you for hanging steady with us. Yes.
I'm here.
I think that your pedigree is very impressive, your background. So let me just give folks at home a little bit of background on you. You work for NPR, you produce live special coverage, and you also report on politics, and you book guests for All Things Considered, Here and Now, Morning Edition. You spent 3 years at WTOP FM in Washington, D.C., where you worked as a producer, podcast host, and reporter. So you know what you're talking about. Yes.
I hope so. Yes, that's right.
What are your thoughts on what's happening in D.C. and what we heard from the president this morning?
So from the White House press briefing room this morning, we heard kind of 2 major announcements. One, that President Trump will be taking over control of the Metropolitan Police Department. Now, he cited Section 704 of the Home Rule Act. And this basically allows the president, when enacted, to take control of the Metropolitan Police Department, the local city police department. And it allows him to do this for about 30 days unless Congress, lets him extend that time period. And he promised to, root out crime in the district. He also did a second thing, which is order the National Guard, into the city. As president of the United States, he can and has control over the D.C. National Guard, which is very different than other states. In Arizona, there's the Arizona National Guard, and the governor really has control over that, unit, that force. But in the district, it's different. D.C. is not a state, it's a city, it's a district, and the president really has control of the National Guard. So he ordered 800 National Guard members to go into D.C. streets. And already this weekend, as I was reporting, more than 500 federal agents kind of descended into the city. Those are FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service officers deployed on the streets to, limit crime, as the president says, and as he thinks they should.
Interesting, very interesting. I'm looking at some, and I just Googled crime statistics in D.C., and this is district crime data at a glance is what they're saying, according to MPD, and then they have some FBI national incidents. And it looks like homicides down 12%, sex abuse down 50%, violent crime total down 26%. 2024, it was down 35%. So from 2024 to 25, it has gone up. But they're still saying the numbers are trending downward. I guess what numbers do they look at? What numbers do they analyze? And we have definitely heard of crimes taking place in the news, some significant ones, before decisions like this are made.
That's right. There are a lot of stats flying around here. And the ones I'm really looking at are a couple. First, federal crime data show that DC violent crime is down to a 30-year low. And violent crime is down 26% when compared to last year. Now, in 2023, DC did see a significant increase in violent crime and shootings. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, talked about that yesterday, and she acknowledged that crime was really high, 2 years ago in 2023. And President Trump himself mentioned that 2023 murder rate and compared it to other cities around the country. But one thing that I thought was interesting about the president's briefing this morning was that he mentioned very personal and specific cases of violence against former members of his administration. He cited this one case that happened last week against 19-year-old Edward Kornstein, who was a former DOJ employee. Kornstein was walking in D.C. or in the early morning of Sunday around 3 a.m., and he was surrounded by a group of juveniles, and he was attacked. President Trump posted a photo of Kornstein, and this is kind of the impetus and the spark that kind of led to a lot of what we're seeing now. This is kind of the beginnings of Trump really expressing his dismay about crime in D.C. specifically, and then threatening to take over the Metropolitan Police Department and the National Guard. And so, in some ways, there's stats being thrown about, but it's also a personal decision, it seems, by the president to kind of take control of what he calls rampant crime, in the district. But the mayor and members of the city council would say, hey, we think we're doing okay. We have driven down crime in 2 years. We put a lot of effort into that. So there's definitely dispute, between the president and local officials here in D.C.
And where do we see this maybe going? If it's successful, if we see a dip even in more of these cases of homicides, burglaries, theft, can it bleed over into other cities then, and to beef up maybe federal security at, bringing the National Guard in other major cities?
And to that point, if I may, they're actually in court, I believe, today in Los Angeles. That situation a little different, obviously, because we had major protests and riots and violence. Right. But that's an excellent question. Is again, does it bleed into other cities?
Luke, can you answer that question? Do you believe that maybe this could bleed over into other communities nearby?
We'll have to wait and see. And President Trump, from the briefing room at the White House, did basically say and tell other cities to watch. He mentioned 3 major U.S. cities, Chicago, New York, and Oakland, as one that he wants to basically warn with this action of sending in the National Guard and taking control of, the city police department. But it's worth noting, Chicago, New York, and Oakland, they're not D.C. D.C., again, is not a state. It's not within a state. It's its own little district. And the president has levers that he can pull that he can't pull in other cities. So we're going to have to wait and see, if this National Guard deployment, that we're seeing in D.C., that we just saw in Los Angeles, will spread across the country. But it's clear that the president wants other cities to be watching, and this is some sort of message to them in what he hopes to do in the future.
Luke, we have a lot of numbers, statistics, and things like that. Have you heard any, other than the one story that the president shared, any other instances where people have encountered danger or been mugged or carjacked or anything like that on the streets of DC?
Sure. I mean, D.C. is a major U.S. city, much like Phoenix, much like all major cities in the United States. There is crime. There is murder, unfortunately. There are carjackings. And D.C. is not separate, in that fact. They have faced crime. And what's unique about D.C., again, is it's a place where there's local enforcement, but there's also the FBI's based here. Firearms and tobacco officers are here. It's this mix of many different police agencies. And then you factor into that also Maryland and Virginia, which are just, stone throws away from the district in many areas. So it's a pretty, complex law enforcement environment. And when I was a local reporter for WTOP News, we bumped into that a lot when, crimes crossed borders, maybe once, twice, 3 times, just in the span of one night, and so, I think we'll have to see how the U.S. National or the D.C. National Guard is used, how Metropolitan Police changes, or if it changes at all, under the directive of Trump, Attorney General Pam Bondi. It's going to be a wait and see for us reporters to see what really does happen, if crime does go down, if it goes up. Yeah, it's a wait and see approach.
One more question, if you don't mind. Is this an opportunity for state leaders like Muriel Bowser to sit down now with President Trump and have a discussion as to which way they want to patrol and keep the city safe and curb the violence even further? So perhaps this plan doesn't go into place. An opportunity for everyone to have a healthy discussion about how to move forward safely.
Well, I think what this press conference this morning showed is that it's beyond the point of having a sit-down conversation. You know, the president has ordered 800 National Guard troops into D.C. He has taken control of the Metropolitan Police Department under, Section 740 of the Home Rule Act. Action has been taken. Now, Mayor Muriel Bowser was on a Sunday show yesterday and said, look, there are places where the president and I can work together on repairing streets, repairing potholes, fixing fountains, making our parks, more beautiful. And the DC Mayor Muriel Bowser's top, campaign issue in the last campaign was safety and was beating back crime. But it's the devil's gonna be in the details, to borrow, a phrase here. How is a National Guard used? Mayor Muriel Bowser yesterday basically, told residents to keep an eye on these, federal officers and whether they stay within their constitutional limits. And so we're going to see how those lines are drawn and if lines are crossed in this federal, takeover of the Metropolitan Police Department and, National Guard troops kind of descending on DC.
All right, Luke Garrett from NPR. Luke, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. I love that you majored in physics and philosophy at USD.
Yeah, I ended up in news.
Yeah, look at you now.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Right.
Appreciate it. Hope we can have you back. You were amazing.
Yeah,
thank
great
you.
info there.
Let's go ahead and pull up the poll question this morning. We're going to pull up the poll question and show you what people are saying. So do you support Trump deploying the National Guard to D.C. and taking control of local police? Right now, 69% of you say yes, crime in D.C. has gotten out of hand and Trump will improve it. 31% of you say no, let the city handle the situation itself. And we're going to go ahead and bring up the YouTube one as well, which is on fire. 779 votes this morning. And a little bit different, right? Or like cut in half and half.
But very close, though.
Very close.
Very close.
So we are going to pull up the mystery cam for you. And we want to give you a little bit of time to take a look at it this morning as well. So here it is. We've got some construction in the distance. And we've got Ron Hoon. Where in the world is Ron Hoon? It's like... All right, welcome back, everyone. This is a look at the mystery cam. And so Mr. Pavline said he missed it. He's in the chat right now. Go ahead and give your thoughts on this one. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's see. Oh, there's the mics. Welcome back, everyone. This is your mystery camera. You've got some construction going on in the background, and we're going to give you a little bit more time. Darren Lloyd said he couldn't see the cam, so maybe he didn't get it in time. And then let's see. Oh, I think
Linda says North Dakota.
North Dakota.
And Deong says Tucson.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's kind of an inside joke. I think it's DeYoung and Melinda. I believe they always say Tucson. They're hoping at some point.
We'll get you guys a Tucson camera. I see where we're going with this.
Oh, my gosh. So funny.
Isabella says not Tucson. Isabella.
I know. Welcome back.
Have some optimism.
Welcome back, Bella. Can we bring Ron in on the mystery cam? Big D. Is that possible? Sure, he's on too.
Hi, Ron.
Let me bring up Ron Hoon. Ron
Hey!
I'm actually eligible to play today since I'm not hosting. I can actually be a guesser on the mystery cam.
That's so true. Were you able to see it at all?
I did. So do you want to know my guess?
Yeah, let's know your guess.
Downtown Spokane, Washington.
Oh. I was going to say somewhere in Minnesota.
Do you want the zip code?
Yeah.
Literally about just to the right of that construction crane is the TV station I used to work
No
at.
way.
Oh, wow.
KXLY. What are the odds?
Are you kidding me?
Ron pinned it.
Watch it be Colorado.
Hey, I like casual vacation, Ron. Bring that photo back up, you guys. Look how handsome this guy is.
Look at you,
How
well
about that?
rested. Oh, okay. So we want to know where you are. But first, let's do a reveal on the mystery cam, Ronald. So Mr. Pavline said Colorado, Darren Lloyd, Tucson, Patricia Randolph, who's right most of the time, Spokane, Washington. And she went with you on that one, Ron. Brandy the bookworm said Colorado or Wyoming. And so here it is, Mike Page with the answer to the mystery cam this morning.
Really? That's a rare
Ron,
Look at this,
you
Ron.
cheated.
Bravo.
Spokane.
He's not even looking at the sheet.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations to
I have
Ron
a
Hoon and
feeling,
Patricia.
you guys, that Dino Fazzini purposely put that one in today because he knew this is my one and only eligible day to actually
Aw.
cast a vote.
This is so great that you're chiming in with
neat.
us. Okay, so let us know where you are. And I think we have some pictures. You sent pictures
Another
our
mystery
way.
cam. Anybody want to guess?
Oh, now don't roll that video until, I kind of wanted to have everybody guess,
Okay,
you
let's
guys,
guess.
where I
Okay.
am. I'll give you a couple of clues. See this old courthouse behind me? Some of the great gangsterland court cases were heard in this courthouse. I am in a city
What?
that has an incredible connection to John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson.
Wow.
Let's see, Ma Barker. I mean, all the mobsters used to hang out in this city
Really?
a long time ago. Yeah, all right. So that's one. There's a clue. Trying to think, but it's not Chicago because I know
Oh, I was
Anita's
gonna
thinking
say
Chicago
Chicago.
because that's the other gangster hangout. But it's not actually all that far from the Chicagoland area. There's another clue. And politically speaking, it's like right down the middle. They're generally like in their legislature, because I toured the state capitol, they're usually split like 50-50 between Republicans and Democrats. It's the ultimate purple state right along with us. Where does Patricia think I am?
She
Patricia.
thinks you're in St. Paul, Minnesota. She just threw it in the chat.
That's great.
Oh, very specific. Any other guesses, you guys? Any?
You know what, Ron? When I was thinking when you were setting up the gangster stuff, I was thinking maybe Wisconsin.
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah,
go with
because they would go across the border. Okay,
Right.
I'm
so
gonna
that's
go
what
with
do you think?
Indiana if I can.
I'm going to go Duluth.
Okay, nice. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we got to give it to Patricia Randolph.
Oh,
I
look
am in
at that.
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Well done,
Wow.
Patricia.
Yeah, I've been learning all about the gangsterland history of this town, but
Oh, my
now
goodness.
you can roll the video. And I'll just show you just a little bit about it here, because here's the thing that I just thought was absolutely amazing. They called this the Twin Cities.
You're right.
But on the right is the state capital, which to me looks almost like the Vatican. And on the left is the local Catholic Church, which also looks like the Vatican.
Wow.
How about that? And in the middle,
so beautiful.
So this weekend I went to a game for the Minnesota Twins, and that's the I don't know, probably 50-foot tall mural of Prince. And yeah, I've just been learning a lot about the Twin Cities. Now, you guys, here's the situation. Remember last year, Anita, I went to my 50th state. Remember what it was?
I do. I remember?
It was
North Dakota. North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yay.
I loved it so much. And Mike, you'll dig this too. I decided once a year I'm going to take a vacation and explore inside and out, upside, downside, east to west, north to south, any one state and learn everything I can about it. So this year I picked Minnesota, and it's been great so far.
That is
so
Anita's
why
thing.
Minnesota? Why did you start with that state as opposed to the other 49?
Okay, Celeste, great question. I think part of it was kind of a hangover from North Dakota. I mean, it's right next door.
Hangover.
And I loved it
Wait
there.
a minute.
Plus, I'm going to spend a week here. I don't think I want, as much as I love the South, I love the people, I love the cooking. I don't think I want to be in the South with all that humidity this time of the year. So I wanted to stay kind of up in the northern tier. And Celeste, it's funny that you mentioned Duluth. For some odd reason, that's always been on my bucket list as a town I wanted to go explore. And so I'm hopping in the car later today. By the way, I'm shooting a bunch of videos for my Hooner History YouTube channel and telling a lot of stories about Prince and the gangsters of the 1930s and everything else. Anyway, when I'm done with all that, I'm hopping in the car and I'm going straight to Duluth, Minnesota. Always wanted to see it. Up on the shores of Lake Superior.
2 questions, one from me, one from Brandy the bookworm.
Oh, good.
Brandy says, where has been your favorite place that you've been to? My question, Ron, is you said I just hopped in the car. Do you plan your day out, or do you just kind of go where the wind takes you and you're like, I want to go to Duluth, but you might see something you like on the way, and then you'll just stay at a random hotel, or you're just probably
Here's how
the
I answer
hostel.
that. Remember when you were kids and you would go on family trips, what would Dad always do? He'd pull over for every roadside history sign. I'm that way. Even though it's just me out here.
I'm that way.
You're the grandkids, that kind of thing. But yeah, so it's a great question, Anita. I have a rough outline, but you got to kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
By the way, that building right behind me right there is called the St. Paul Hotel. And it's supposedly the lobby was kind of a little bit of a gangster meetup. Very ornate, very beautiful. But I'm only about a mile or so away from where John Dillinger escaped in a shootout with the G-Men.
Wow.
Back in the 1930s.
Who would have known?
A lot happened here.
Yeah, who would have known it would be like a gangster central type of city? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
You figure.
And you know what else? Mike, have you been up here to the Twin Cities, a Chicago guy like you?
Yes, I've been to Minneapolis, and I was just going to tell you, Ron, isn't it something that's similar to Phoenix in the way that the stadiums are right next to each other? You got the Twins, and then you got the T-Wolves right next to each other.
I went to the Twins game this weekend. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, you're right. The Timberwolves, they're right next door. They got a great NBA team. And literally right in between them is that Prince mural. And one of the stories I learned about Prince, it's probably too long to get into, but I put it all on my YouTube. It's got, he once ordered 500,000 albums that had already been printed on vinyl to be destroyed. But 8 of them slipped through the cracks. And you know what they sell for?
What's that?
Now? If you can find one, about $40,000.
Wow.
Must be about the
goodness.
most expensive vinyl out there. So
well,
anyway, I'm just learning. You guys know I love history. I'm just learning stories from the Twin Cities. And then it'll be On to Duluth.
I can't. Well, I told you this, Ron, but one of my former students is a morning anchor in Duluth.
How fun!
I
Go
told
say
Ron,
hi.
I said, Ron, do you want to stop in? He's like, we'll see if it fits into my agenda.
Oh,
He's a busy guy.
he's looking for gangsters.
God, it would be an honor to be on Good Morning Duluth. I'll tell you that much.
And Ron, it would be an honor for all of us to tag along when you go to the state of Hawaii. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, road trip.
Well, that's the other thing is I'm trying to go to states I really don't know very much about.
Yeah.
And I guess Hawaii's I have been there a couple of times, but really, other than the airport here, I've never spent any time, and I love it.
It's so awesome. Well, the weather looks great. Your hair looks amazing.
Your skin
Does it
is
really?
dewy from the humidity.
Is
Good.
it?
Well,
Is
I
it
got
hu-
it cut right before my big trip. Guys know they got to get a trim before they go on a big vacay. So
Oh,
that's
my
what I did.
goodness.
Oh,
Okay,
wait. Lil Philosophy is asking what you're doing for lunch. I'm also very curious.
There is a diner here, you guys, about 2 blocks from where I'm standing. It's called Mickey's Diner. And if you remember the old movie, The Mighty Ducks, remember that movie? That
Yes.
movie
Yep.
from years ago? They shot the diner scene in that diner right here in downtown St. Paul.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're headed to Duluth. Are we going to see you in Duluth tomorrow?
Possibly, but I'm going to be out.
No pressure,
kind of halfway to Canada.
No
but
pressure. Everybody's
maybe
listening.
later in the week. But Brandy had a question. What was Brandy's question? Do you have
Brandy
time?
was asking what your favorite places that you visited.
Yeah. So far, I've got to say St. Paul. The history here is incredible. Minneapolis is great. It's amazing. I mean, it's a mega city. I went for a nice long walk yesterday around there. But just in terms of the stories, which that's what I'm really after, St. Paul, Minnesota. Plus, the thing is, Minneapolis is all like glass 40-story skyscrapers. And here, I mean, look at the
very
buildings
historic.
around me.
Yeah, a lot of history.
I feel like I stepped into a time machine.
That's so amazing. Well, Ron, you look great,
Yeah.
buddy, and safe travels. And thank you so much for sharing part of your journey with us. This is fun. I hope we get to see you from Duluth.
Okay.
I'll
All
text
right.
you later.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Enjoy
I
that
miss all
diner.
3 of you.
Have
And hi to Bella and hi to
fun.
Big D.
Yeah,
Miss you.
Oh my goodness, isn't that great?
That is awesome.
I wish I could do that.
Just like take off and go visit a
Just
state.
say, you know what, I'm going to go explore.
Yes.
And then just head out on my own. Just do your thing.
At some point, probably.
Do your thing.
It's something very freeing hitting the ground running in a new city, right?
Yeah. I like drive. I like being in the car. I like road trips,
Yeah,
but I
me
don't like
too.
to be the one driving.
Yeah, because you don't
So
get to see a lot.
I would need my husband. He would be the driver.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. That was fun. All right, welcome back, everyone. You are looking live at a Hotel Grand Pacific in this mystery city on Fox 10 Talks. We're glad you're with us. Thank you so much for joining and sticking with us. We were just chatting with Ron on his little vacay, and it looks pretty amazing. All right, this morning as well, we have Crystal Ortiz here in the studio. Good morning, Crystal.
Good morning.
Good to see you. We are chatting about the weather because it has been, as you know, hot. That's an understatement.
Yep.
It's been pretty hot. What are we going to expect this week? We have a little bit of a change.
Yes, okay, not as hot as last week. Last week we made that 118 degree temperature, so it's not going to be that bad. And although the first half of the week we are still under extreme heat warning, the second half is when we've got like cooler temperatures. We've got the chance of rain starting to increase.
Yeah.
So more welcome change that will hopefully not get like tomatoes thrown at me. Last week was a touch and go one.
Fault.
You were avoiding the produce section at the grocery store. That's for sure.
I had friends
no,
like,
poor
"Hey,
girl.
not to bug you when you're not working, but will it ever rain again in Arizona?" I'm like, valid question.
Let's talk about, we have some video to show you and talk about, oh, no, that's not it. Okay.
But that is cool.
Yeah.
That is very cool. What is the heat warning? That's VO5. Okay, that's VO5. Oh, here we go.
That looks like it hurts.
Yes. I know, as it's beating down on you, right? Like those sun rays. So dangerously hot outside, weather alert, of course, today. This video kind of sped up for you as well. But here in the Valley, under that extreme heat warning through 8 p.m. tomorrow. And a reminder, hiking trails on Camelback Mountain and Piestewa Peak will be closed from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some trails on South Mountain will also be closed during that time. And we were just talking about this, Crystal, as well. People asking you at the grocery store, like, when is it going to, ease up a little bit? What are your thoughts on the forecast as we look into this work week?
Yeah. Okay, so let's switch to my graphics when you can. And you'll see there's the look at the extreme heat warnings that are in place. Actually, looks like Mojave County just dropped their own that is new, and that runs down the Colorado River Valley into like the Yuma area. But you can see that for the Valley, as well as parts of Pinal County, through tomorrow, 8 o'clock is where we have that extreme heat warning in place again. And then up at the Grand Canyon below 4,000 feet through Thursday, there's an extreme heat warning, which I'm sure I sound like I'm on repeat from last week when I was on Fox 10 Talks, because we were still talking about an extreme heat warning. These are the high temperatures today, around 110 for much of the Valley. East Valley, like 107 to 110. West Valley, more like 110 to 112 range. So all across the map, things are on the high end, which is why that extreme heat warning was put out for the next couple of days from the National Weather Service. But the good news is things do start to change. So this ridge of high pressure starts to kind of move from over us to sitting off to the east of us. And as it slides through, it should help for more moisture to move over our area and for the temperature to finally dip a little bit. Already you can feel the moisture in the air. Mm-hmm. It's humid out there.
It is, and we can feel it
all
in the
of our
building.
hair is struggling. Like we had great curls to start out with.
We walked out yesterday and it was pretty, well, it looked to be maybe cloudy, but it was really more hazy and dusty. I had to look.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go right to those videos. We'll come back to your map in a second, Crystal.
I had to check because Johnny was like, it's going to rain. I said, I don't remember Crystal saying it's going to rain.
We wish.
Yeah.
Well, initially, when you saw that haze outside,
it was icky, though. I thought maybe there's a monsoon coming, but no.
Yeah, it was like some dust coming up from the south, and then it was also some wildfire smoke and haze that actually transported from the California fires.
Wow. That's pretty wild, right?
That's so far.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about the East Coast, what was it, last week, in the Great Lakes, they were getting wildfire smoke from Canada, so this isn't unheard of for this to happen, but never looks good when it does happen, that's for sure.
Yeah.
that video.
We have a couple people chiming in this morning. Like Linda Montort said, hey, Crystal, clouds, thunder, and lightning near us in Thatcher, but no rain. Stayed south of us or fizzled out.
Yeah.
And then we have AZ Raider. He said, I was so sad. I was in Pine Top the day it was 118. Not. He said, love, love, love Pine Top, because our higher elevations, I mean, some of them are still warm, right?
And that's usually where you go to escape the heat, but not right now.
Yeah, even the high country is pretty warm in the afternoon. We have like 100 today in Sedona, 90s, Payson and Prescott. It's not as hot as last week when there was some spots that were like breaking records in the high country, but yeah, still warm conditions for sure. It looks like someone asked if it was a haboob yesterday, but no, I think it was just there was some dust down in Mexico that was able to move up our direction, but and then the wildfire smoke haze combined.
Is there an
with
air
it.
quality warning in effect because
There
of all that?
isn't, no.
Oh.
So I checked, and all the air quality forecasts and all the sensors around the valley are looking, pretty normal, moderate conditions, which is pretty normal for summer here. Just in general, with the heat and the amount of people that live in the valley, our air quality is never like perfect, but no alerts in place right now. So it's more upper level stuff in the air than it is down at the surface where we're breathing in. So that's always good news.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're going to say, obviously, it's the winds that have to change the air quality, move everything and move everything out. And that all depends on wind speeds. But when you're watching, how quickly do you think, or do you anticipate that we'll see a little bit better visibility and air quality?
Yeah, so it looks like today and even in tomorrow, there might still be some like haze hanging about, but the pattern starts to shift as that high I just showed you starts to move over us and then off to the east of us. And that will also transport in a little extra moisture. So if you want to shift back to my graphics, you'll see the rain chances for the valley start to uptick about like midweek and especially by the end of the week. Obviously, 20-30% chance is better than nothing, but it's not perfect. So at this point, there's no guarantees, but it does look like the pattern will be more favorable for showers and storms. Certainly for the high country, higher elevations look like a good chance for storms late week. But for the valley, there is at least a chance. And the models have been pretty consistent on this. So even last week, I was talking about how I hoped last week, I was saying hopefully late next week, which sounded like forever ago. So that's a good sign that things have been pretty consistent. So that's what we got our eye on is Thursday and Friday in particular.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on kind of like the monsoon in general? It's kind of been a
non-soon.
Yeah, it's been a bummer.
When's the last time we had rain?
At Sky Harbor a very long time.
We had some, remember, 2 weeks ago this week, it'll be Thursday evening, because I had Friday off. And Thursday during the newscast, I said, let's manifest some rain. And I woke up around 8 o'clock and it was pouring. And I messaged Crystal. She's like, there's no rain in the satellite.
There was nothing on radar even. It must have been the tiniest little cell over your house.
Tiny.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we like maybe, you get sprinkles on your windshield. Maybe you wake up, if you're hanging with us, you wake up, you have wind, but it's not measurable. And so it's hard to even, like if it happens in the middle of the night, it's like, oh, well, it's just that random.
And if it's not enough to actually really make the ground wet, then I'm like, I want the good stuff, right?
I feel like we need that right now to wash all the gunk out of the air.
Yeah. It's the everything we just talked about, the wildfire smoke, the dust, all that kind of stuff. What really helps is if you get a really good dousing of rain, which has not happened.
We need it.
And I actually just started diving into some of the monsoon numbers. And on Wednesday, for my Weather Wisdom Wednesday, that's what I'm going to focus on is how, because we'll be at almost the 2-month marker of the monsoon.
Okay.
And it's certainly, for most locations, not all, but for most locations around the state, it has been kind of a bust so far.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay, Crystal. Thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, all right. Now we're going to bring in this morning TMZ. We have our Monday morning with TMZ. We have Christina Cavallari joining us this morning. Christina, are you there?
I am. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here as well. Let's go ahead and chat, if we can, first about Jennifer Aniston. She kind of shared some thoughts on, that she had been more concerned about Matthew Perry much earlier than even his passing, that she was concerned about his health.
Yeah, she did. So she did a really vulnerable interview with Vanity Fair, and they asked her about Matthew Perry and his passing in October 2023. And she said that at the time we did everything we could when we could. And when he passed, it almost felt like we'd been mourning Matthew for a long time, because that battle with addiction for Matthew Perry, that went on for decades while they were filming Friends. He spoke about it in his memoir and how his castmates were there for him. But she also said that as hard as it was for the cast, for fans, there's a part of her that thinks this is better, and that she's glad that he's out of this pain, which is obviously so heartbreaking. I can't believe it's been over 2 years now since Matthew Perry passed away. Almost 2 years since Matthew Perry passed away, sorry.
Christina, it was shocking, I think, to fans when he passed away, because so many people thought that he was in recovery. Do you think that it was shocking for his friends who knew his history so much better than we did?
I mean, it's so hard to say. I think Jennifer really put it clearly that they all knew that he struggled with this disease and it was ongoing. I don't know if they knew at the time he was still battling the disease. So it's really hard to say. And I'm sure they were still just as shocked as the rest of us when they found that out. We know that 5 people have been since charged in connection to his death, and the doctor last month that pleaded guilty. But you can read more about that on tmz.com as well, and how that unfolds. It's just just a heartbreaking story. He's such a beloved actor, such a beloved character on that show. I'm a big Friends fan myself. So when I saw that news, I cried. I think a lot of us just really felt that because we saw him in our living rooms for so many years, and we just wanted what's best for him.
You know, I think you bring up a good point that there were so many fans out there of his. And I think initially, like when the show first launched years ago, there were a lot of fans, right, who remember him from the original airing. But then with all the streaming platforms, it was like a new generation of people became fans. And so he was just that much more beloved.
Yes, exactly. And I love that. I love that the streaming platforms have brought Friends back to our lives all over again. And of course, their reunion, where it was the final time that we saw the 6 of them together. And Jennifer even said in the interview that she learned that Friends fans around the world were learning English from the show. So that show had such a deep impact to so many lives. And I could sit here and talk to you guys for ages about it because I'm such a Friends fan. Like, I know all the quotes, know all the seasons, which episode was which, and it's just such a beloved show. And he was such a big impact on that show, and the laughter he brought, the sarcasm, it's just so heartbreaking still.
It wasn't just the show. I loved his movies as well. There was one that he did with Salma Hayek. I can't for the life of me remember the name of that movie, but I'm going to Google it. I absolutely, what is it?
I can't think of it as. Oh yes,
Fools Rush In.
That's a good movie. Big D to the rescue.
Have you seen The Whole Nine Yards? That's one of my favorites.
Yes, that's adorable as well. He was fantastic.
I know he was.
He was lovable. He was Chandler being the guy next door.
I know.
And it's so great that he could move from Chandler being 2 other characters outside into the film realm, because we know how hard it is for actors to break out of that character, of that box that they've been in for 10 years. And he did it so well.
He did. Let's move on to this topic. Demi Lovato and Joe Jonas. What's happening with this reunion?
Oh, this is one for the millennials. This was so great. I have not stopped watching videos on TikTok of these two. So the Jonas Brothers kicked off their first show of their 20th anniversary show at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And they brought none other than Demi Lovato out, which is a reflection on their camp rock film that Joe Jonas and Demi did together. They were love interests on the 2008 Disney film, and they sung all of the classics. It was just such a great moment. They sang Wouldn't Change a Thing, This Is Me. For any millennials watching, we know this was such a pinnacle moment to see them back together on stage again. It's been over a decade, they said, of them singing together. So it was such a beautiful moment. And what a way to kick off this 20th anniversary tour.
So they dated briefly, right, in 2010, and then continued a solid friendship throughout their split. I think a lot of people Welcome back, everyone. Here we are back with Fox 10 Talks. Thank you for, staying with us and chiming in the chat box. We love to hear where you're from. There's a big conversation ongoing. We like to call it the friendliest chat on YouTube. And look who joins us now.
Hello.
Hi, Bella. Welcome back.
Someone mentioned a Fox 10 Talks cruise. Everyone
Lloyd,
wear their T-shirts and let's organize a cruise.
Oh, and maybe like a big family photo.
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
Lots of food.
How was your week off?
Oh, it was so good. I went home to Seattle and the weather was perfect. I walked by the water every day. It didn't get hotter than 82 degrees. And I thought it was funny because by the end of my trip, they did initiate an excessive heat, or not an excessive heat, but a heat watch because it was going to be 85. And I was like, amateurs. It's like 115 in Phoenix.
85, I'm from the Chicago area, and 85 in the Midwest with humidity hits a little different than it would here, for example, right?
Yes,
okay.
But, it was so good. I saw family, spent time with my puppies, so it was good.
So amazing.
Yeah,
okay, so Jen's Wall, can you hear us okay now? I think what she said, no sound, but Paul Humphrey says Bella Bomb, and Jen's Wall says,
never mind. I think we're good.
Okay, good. We want to make sure that you all are with us here this morning as well. We want to talk about this story. We like to call this, and who came up with it? It was either Bella or Anita. Girls Who Gab.
Anita.
I'm going to have to take the credit for that one. Sorry, guys.
No, it was all
I
Anita.
love the segment.
We're going to give it to you, girl. Okay, we're going to roll this video, and let's talk about this, and chime in on this conversation if you can in the chat box as well. So we're talking about, ladies, attractive hobbies.
Of men.
Of men. So so if you're having maybe a hard time finding a +1, men, listen up to this one. A survey from Date Psychology reveals the most attractive hobbies. This is according to women. And so, ladies, you chime in the chat too. What is the hobby that a man may have that seems, they seem a little, very attractive towards, you're like, oh, he's hot. Oh, that's really, he's really hot. What is it? So these are coming in at number 1. This is from Date Psychology, is reading. So a man who reads, who's well read, is very, very attractive, apparently.
Does it matter to you if he's reading online or a physical book?
I don't think it matters.
Because my husband is constantly reading and learning and Googling things, whereas I like a book, whether it's Kindle or a paper book.
Right.
I like to read the stories, and he's constantly reading information online.
Don't you think that makes them... you have good conversation, like you're smarter, you feel like that is also very attractive.
Do you mind if I ask, are you single?
I'm seeing somebody.
Oh, yeah. Well, what are the qualities then that you like in him?
This is so silly. I like that this person is very adamant on being active. So working out every day, not just for the physical benefits, but to, the health benefits, like longer life, just being healthy. And the other quality that I find very attractive is liking to cook.
Yeah.
Because, there's that idea that the woman's the one who cooks, but when a man enjoys cooking and learning new recipes, especially if it's maybe a recipe that I enjoy and he hasn't had it before, but he's willing to cook and learn, I think those are attractive qualities.
And I think those are two things, like you mentioned, working out and cooking, you can do together.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you do that together. I think hiking is on the list.
Yes, hiking is on the list. So here's the other hobbies. And let's go ahead. I like this video because the guy's like stretching at the cubicle.
Do we call that working out?
We call that desk. We call that desk yoga. Stretching at his desk. Okay, so here are the other things. Other hobbies to boost your attractiveness, men. If you're looking for that +1, playing an instrument, cooking, as you mentioned, Bella, painting, and hiking for the least attractive hobbies. And these were things according to this psychology study, this date psychology study. Comic books, cosplay, debating, because no one wants to argue, drinking, and wizardry. Apparently, that was one of
like
the
Harry Potter,
I guess. While the results of the study were published last year, they've since sparked wild debates from both genders across social media as of late.
So Linda says hardworking, willing to learn cooking. Brandy the bookworm says, I've been with my boyfriend for 15 years. Mr. Paul Valine says, I took over cooking at my house 5 years ago. I get better at it. And Paul Humphrey says, I cook, the wife cleans up. I cook, my husband cleans up. I like the teamwork. I like when you can do things like that together.
And I like when we can cook together and clean together.
Yeah.
You know, because then you're talking, you're having conversation.
You're communicating.
Yeah.
And you're learning. I mean, we've been together for 20 some years, so we know. I know what types of foods he likes. But like you said, it's fun to try different things. I'm going to say up high on my list is if you're an animal lover, because you have that compassion, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, non-negotiable.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, you don't like dogs, but I have a dog. How is this going to work out in the long run?
Or what if it's a cat person
Anita.
and you're a dog person? How does that go?
I've never been in that position.
I've never been in that position either.
Sounds like
I think I'm just drawn to dog people. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like quite the situation, ladies.
Oh, this is cute. Listen, Ryan Apple Snapple says, my partner and I do themed date nights and cook with the theme of a movie.
That is so
That's
cute.
adorable.
That is a good idea.
Give us an example.
Yeah, I was just gonna
That's so
say.
fun.
Okay, while we're waiting for his response on that one, let's go right to this next story. Money over love. A new survey reveals Gen Z is more likely to choose money over love, apparently. The survey by matchmaking service Talkify shows a stunning 46% of Gen Zers would pick long-term financial stability over romance. A third of participants even said they'd take a former partner back if that ex got rich. Uh-oh.
What do you think, Bella?
Well, I mean, me personally, I would choose love over money because, you know, money comes and goes, but I think love is a beautiful thing. However, speaking from the Gen Z point of view, I can completely understand that because most people my age, you know, like 24, 25, they're still living with their parents. They're in thousands of dollars of debt from going to college. They don't have jobs. So I just understand that you compare it to your parents who bought a house at this age, and just so many people my age in the Gen Z era are so far behind financially. So I can understand why they may choose money for that stability.
They're not watching, but I have a couple of aunts who, when I was growing up, would always say, marry for money. Marry for money. And to that point,
you had to preface that with saying they're not watching.
I love them dearly, and you know, part of them, it was probably mostly joking. Because they were married to my uncles, my dad's brothers. But you know, to your point, there's something nice about the financial stability. But like you said, money can come and go.
Yeah,
you don't want your love to fade.
Someone also said, and this goes along probably with like what you just mentioned, is money doesn't give you love or bring you that intimacy, but it gives
love.
It cannot buy love, but it gives you access. So at that point, it gives you access to certain things. Like if you want to fly first class and you want to go, or we want to book a cruise for our super fans on FTT, then the money gives you access to that, but it doesn't make you feel like long-term, deep intimacy or love.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't not date someone if they said, I have to fly economy.
Yeah.
If
Right.
we're going on a trip.
Yeah.
You'd say, like, all right, great.
So,
We're
like,
going to save some money.
Like Brandy the Bookworm says, I'd rather be homeless under a bridge with my boyfriend and dog over money any day of the week. I'd rather be happy than have money. Money doesn't buy happiness. It is a very real thing.
The
Happiness
money
is
not
very
gonna
real.
hug you every time you walk in the door and say, I love you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. And then Jen Wall says, wow, money isn't everything. That is sad. And it is. It is. One sweet note on that story, though, it says millennials were the most likely to say they'd take love over financial security.
Wow.
So you got the millennials choosing love and the Gen Z choosing the money.
Yeah.
But maybe they're just so young that they don't understand.
They don't
They
understand.
don't have to buy a house yet.
No.
Right.
They're waiting for the, excuse me, the feds to drop the rates.
Yeah.
That happens sometime soon. My goodness.
Did you guys hear about this story? This
I'm
young
announcing
man.
historic action to.
He did not propose. I'm looking for boyfriend proposal.
I don't know about this. Oh, I'm so glad that you brought this up.
So this is actually kind of a funny story. So this couple, and listen to this, Bella. I'm not sure how you and your boo, how long you've been dating, but a couple 7-year-long story is going viral. 7 years they dated.
Well, we dated for 16 before we got married.
Oh, did you really?
That is so sweet.
It's sad.
We did we did 7. So yeah, I know. It gets to the point.
Wow.
We were engaged for like half of that, but finally after 16 years, I'm like, okay, buddy, what's happening?
Yeah.
So this couple's 7-year-long love story going viral tied the knot in May of this year, but it was quite the journey to get there. They tied the knot in May of this year. Luke is his name. He first proposed to Sarah in 2018. They had only been dating for 6 months, and Sarah wasn't ready to take that next step. He proposed 43 different times.
Oh my gosh.
43. Some of those proposals involved castles, horseback riding, restaurants.
Oh, wow.
Sarah said she had no regrets. She finally said yes, but that is insane. Poor Luke.
I feel like, yes, poor Luke. He's definitely going to be, well, I was going to say he's going to be a very wonderful, loyal husband. But then at some point he might turn around and be like, what?
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
I'm like, wait, I did all of that.
Does he have to ask her 32 times to like pick up the towel in the bathroom or
excellent point.
Can you help me wash the dishes 32 times? Or is there like a magic number? 43
You think
times.
You have to wonder if
One
she was
time.
rich, you guys.
Oh,
You
maybe
have to
he's-
wonder if she was rich.
Maybe he's
Maybe that's
Gen
why he
Z.
was so persistent.
If he had castles and all that stuff, I mean, it sounds like he might have been. I don't know.
Isn't that crazy?
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to propose. Okay, so
I wonder if he got a new ring each and every time.
Can you imagine?
listen to Darren Lloyd. He said, this is a question refers to the other story that we just talked about when it comes to money. Darren Lloyd said, I've been through both homeless and rich. I prefer a roof over my head. That's him. Maybe he already found love. Who knows?
Everybody has different experiences.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
is, that is so true.
For sure.
Okay, Girls Who Gab here at 10:45 this morning. And let's go to the poll question. This has a little bit more to do with what's happening in D.C. this morning. And then I'll show you our YouTube poll question as well as we wrap it up here in the 11 o'clock hour. So the question of the day, do you support Trump deploying the National Guard to D.C. and taking control of local police? He had a big press conference this morning in D.C., kind of shared his thoughts on that and some statistics as well. We had a live interview from NPR at the top of the hour and shared some details on that. Right now, 68% of you say yes, crime in D.C. has gotten out of control and Trump will improve it. Anita, do you want to chat about the YouTube? We have about 20 seconds
This is always so
here.
interesting to me. First of all, this is almost the opposite, right? No, let the city handle itself, 51%.
Yeah.
And then yes, crime in D.C. has gotten out of hand and Trump will improve it, 49%. But look how close this one is.
Yeah,
Couple of percentage points. And this one
really
hasn't moved
close.
much.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Bella, welcome back. We missed you.
I
So
missed
good to
you
have you
guys.
back. I know we're going to wrap
you.
up the 11 o'clock hour, and then we have 11 a.m. coming up here real quick. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is what happens when the girls gab. Ty is on a special assignment, so you guys are just staying close. Celeste is staying. She's at the driver's helm, at the wheel, because I was too
We're on
lazy
the party
to walk
bus.
over there.
We're on the party
All
bus.
the girls this morning.
Yeah, and then we have Irene joining us, who's been on several times. Irene, good morning.
Good
We had
morning.
a really serious story this morning.
That was sad.
It was terrible. A wrong way crash. We have at least one person dead, 3 vehicles involved, and this was on the Loop 202 westbound, right around Priest Drive.
Priest Drive,
so
correct.
it was a very, very big closure. Tell us what you saw. You were standing out there on the 202.
Yeah, we were on the 202. They had it closed since around midnight's when it happened for several hours. I think they finally reopened it just around I think it was our 6
Right
o'clock
before- yeah,
live shot. It was
6:30-ish, I
it was
think,
around
yeah.
that time. Yeah, they kind of kicked us off right after our live shot. But, they had the medical examiner there on scene that showed up a little before 6, before they moved everything out of the way. They had the tow trucks out there. As you mentioned, we saw about 3 vehicles there involved. And they said it happened around midnight. Wrong way driver. I'm not sure who the one is who died, if it was the driver, if it was another person they hit. We don't have the gender at this point either. But again, we do know that one person died. It's a very busy scene for hours throughout the night. We were there from, 3:45 up until after 6 o'clock.
We should have video of the scene. This is another incident that took place on the 60. We'll try to get to that. There we go, you guys. Do we know where the driver entered onto the freeway?
We don't know. So there was no PIO on scene for us to talk to. There was a sergeant out there, but didn't give a ton of information.
sure,
Nothing
yeah.
on camera. Yeah. So we didn't get any specifics as far as what led up to this, how long a lot of times we ask them, hey, how long was this driver first reported? Sometimes people report them.
Yes.
And then you see the crash come like so many minutes later. We don't have any of those details at this point. But again, we know that one person died. Basically, that's really all we know as far as any victims
The
in this case. We
information.
don't know the condition of anyone else involved in the crash.
Yeah.
Just 3 vehicles again. So
Yeah, I think the scary thing is, I think we reported, and Irene, you'd know more details, but you had the person driving eastbound in the westbound lanes, right?
correct.
And then they sideswiped one vehicle, and then they hit the other one head on. And the driver of the wrong way vehicle, I believe we had this in our 9 o'clock hour, that person survived.
I didn't
Or
get that.
they're-
Maybe they
so I
gave
think
that
we had-
afterwards.
Yeah, I think they're in the hospital, and one person was killed. We believe it may be one of the cars that they hit. But unfortunately, it's been it's just a sad trend we've seen in our state.
I feel like we see so many, especially on the morning show, because it's like, we come in and people are there overnight hours. One time when I was driving into work, I saw a wrong way driver coming by, at 3 a.m.
Oh, that's
So it's
terrifying.
that kind of time of day.
Stay close. I want to hear about that, but I want to bring in DPS Raul Garcia. Good morning, Raul. Do we have you?
Morning.
Hi,
Yes.
good morning. I'm not sure if you're phone or Zoom, but we've got there. You got
There we go.
Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. I know you can't talk specifics about this incident because it remains under investigation. Are you able, though, to clarify who passed away, who was killed, who's in the hospital?
So sadly, the driver of the third vehicle involved in the collision is the one that died at the scene from the injuries sustained during that collision. So this Subaru SUV that was traveling the wrong way, eastbound in the westbound traffic lanes of State Route 202, sideswiped a second vehicle, Hyundai passenger vehicle. Within 40 to 50 feet of that initial sideswipe collision, that wrong way struck a Kia passenger vehicle. So it's the driver of that Kia passenger vehicle. In your video, you may have seen a vehicle that was off to the right up against the concrete wall. Well, the driver of that vehicle is the one that died at the scene.
Raul, you guys have done so much. You've worked with ADOT. You guys have done so much to try to implement safety measures, if you will. And I know that I have talked to troopers who are out there patrolling in all hours of the night who respond to these calls the second they get one. Sometimes you guys are just ramming your patrol vehicles into the wrong way driver in an attempt to stop. Talk a little bit about some of the measures that are being taken, because unfortunately this keeps happening over and over.
You said it. I'll start with our troopers. They've absolutely done everything they can to intercept these wrong way vehicles. Intentionally colliding with a vehicle, sometimes a second and even a third time or more to get that vehicle, that wrong way driver, to stop. We had one of those incidents just over the weekend, and several of them where our troopers were able to interdict and or stop those wrong-way vehicles. Sadly, with this one, at about 12:03 a.m., the calls that we received were to report it in the wrong direction right around 24th Street, and then just less than a minute later, the impact there at milepost 5.2, which is between Washington and Priest. But everyone's involved. ADOT's team, along with DPS and the Traffic Operations Center. We have retired troopers there and other personnel from ADOT and retired DPS that have the experience to work those cameras and track traffic incidents like a wrong way, for instance. The department's operations communication or dispatch center is ATLing real-time broadcasting locations of the vehicle or any information they can get from 911 calls to all of our troopers. And where appropriate, they absolutely get a hold of adjacent agencies like the municipal agencies, the county, and anyone else that monitors our stations.
Do you have any kind of?
But there, you know, it's difficult here in the valley, in the valley with the concrete barrier walls compared to outlying areas. So it takes a lot of coordination.
Yeah. So I have a question for you when it comes to policing the situation. You know, it's happened for a number of years here in Arizona. And I think a lot of people are thinking, why does it happen? I believe one of the reports we had today at 9 a.m. was that impairment is looking into a cause. You know, I was a bartender in college, a cocktail waitress, paid myself through college. And I remember going through bartender school and they said, you can be held liable if you overserve someone and they get into a crash after. When there's an investigation ongoing, do you also look that far past into where they may have been or where they may have, you know, been drinking, whether or not it was at home or a bar or a restaurant or anything like that? Is that also part of the investigation?
It is. And the department will work with the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control to figure out if it's alcohol impairment we're talking about, to figure out where they were served and what should have taken place. So certainly, depending on the impairment related to this incident, that's something that's already taken place. You mentioned a couple other things, and I'll start with your first point about how this happens in Arizona. Wrong way incidents, wrong way driving, and collisions that stem many times from them are not specific or special to Arizona. This is something that occurs across the country. And most of the time it has to do with impairment when it turns into a collision. There are times where we're talking about older drivers or some other drivers that have medical episodes.
Oh, yes.
But a large majority of them end up getting off the highway or don't collide or we don't make contact with. I'd say between 1% to 3% of all the wrong way incidents that we have per month around the state and the highways or on the highways are the ones that result in crashes. And of that 1% to 3%, the majority have to do with impairment.
Now, do you have any recommendations for, I was just saying that I one time came into work around 3 a.m., very common time for these things to occur, and saw a wrong way driver when I was coming into Fox 10. Do you have any recommendations for if someone's on the road, they see the driver coming the wrong way, what do you do?
Yes, we do. I think the number one most important thing is to avoid all distractions. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to what we're doing. The time to gather our thoughts or, organize our day or whatever's happening is not behind the wheel. So it's that simple. There's too many things to point out as far as hazards. The list is endless with hazards for drivers. So along with paying attention and avoiding distractions, we ask the passengers, keep your driver on point, help them to focus and don't add to any potential distraction for them. The second thing I'd say is have an evasive escape plan as a driver for the different kinds of hazards. Your plan is going to be different than mine depending on years of experience driving, your vehicle performance, if you will, and the hazard, time of day or whatnot. So that's up to the driver's discretion, but we will provide some information. Although wrong way incidents can occur at any time of the day or night.
Yeah.
The majority of them do occur at night. Typically, they're off to the left, but they've happened in the center or right lanes because these drivers are getting on at the off ramps and crossing over to the far right side of the roadway for them.
So, Ro, we do have a question for you in the chat, and this is from Be Kind Forever. It says, why don't they install tire spikes on the off-ramps to stop the cars before they get on the freeway?
We had another comment, and if you want to comment on both, saying that we need better signage.
So I certainly won't be a spokesman for the Department of Transportation today, but we do receive those email tips, and what I've seen is a response. And just thinking practically, those spikes also would work on patrol vehicles, first response vehicles, vehicles that need to use those ramps to respond to incidents such as this.
True.
And generally, those spike strips work only when a vehicle is traveling slow. When you're talking higher speeds or depending on the vehicle, they don't necessarily work. But as we all know from watching pursuits or other law enforcement type incidents, just because a vehicle doesn't have any wheels or tires doesn't really stop them or slow them down. And I mentioned earlier, our troopers have collided with many of these vehicles that have been spiked, if you will, by other law enforcement and have collided with them intentionally, and they still continue down the road. So thanks for that tip, but that's generally the responses we see for spike strips.
So stay, have a plan, stay very alert, don't be distracted. Do you call 911 if you see those headlights coming at you? Are you just getting off the freeway? How do you alert DPS that there is danger literally coming your way?
Absolutely. Whether you're directly involved or not, call 911. Do your best to provide direction of travel, location, or the roadways in the area, mileposts if that's the last thing that you see. And our operations dispatchers will work with you to get that information timely out to responding units.
Thank you for the great info. We appreciate it. Please be safe out there.
Thank you for the discussion. Good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
I always, I try to stay out of the HOV lane. I know Raul said that typically it happens in that lane.
Yeah.
Not always, but I try to stay out of the HOV lane and looking just as far ahead as you can, especially. Seconds. Okay. You guys ready?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I think there we go. We're all set. Celeste is taking a little bit of a break. She'll be back at 11:30, and Irene's sticking around, and Greg Cly is joining us. You were here a couple months ago.
Yeah. Couple months ago. June, maybe.
Yeah, with really good info. But so much has changed since June. You're with Two Brothers Realty.
Yep, still.
We wanted to bring you on to talk about the market. We both mentioned this meme that we saw this morning.
Right.
The buyers think it's 2008, and the sellers think it's 2021.
Yep.
What does that mean?
A lot of confusion, I think, is what that really means.
A lot of confusion.
Can we buy a house now?
Yeah. So I think that, a lot of things that are going on is the interest rates are high. So that makes it tough for buyers. So when they are going to see houses and they already know that they're paying more, they don't want to pay the price that it's listed for. Mm-hmm. But the sellers are saying, well, the house down the street sold for this amount and I can get that amount. My house is just as nice. Whether it is or not, who knows? But that's where there's a little bit of crossover. So I think that, people are hoping to get a house for less because the interest rates are so high. And
do you know what the rates are at? I forgot to look.
It's like 6.5, which technically they are at the lowest of 2025.
Yeah, that's not awful.
It's still a little rough.
High.
It's still a little rough, but
are we ever going to get back down to 2.9?
No, I don't think so. Don't quote me, but
I don't either.
I don't see us getting back down to the 2s ever. That was an anomaly.
Yes.
I think that if we get back into like the 5, 4s, that's when it's going to be a little bit more balanced and a bit more comfortable for a lot of people. So who knows when that's going to happen exactly. It does show there's a lot of people and a lot of people that are probably smarter than I that are forecasting that the interest rates are going to start coming down. Mm-hmm. Hopefully in September, maybe. I don't know that. But if it does over the next couple months, that'll be great and could bring more buyers to the market. If it does go down in September, that typically there's kind of a 2 peak in the markets and you have when the weather gets nice on both ends. Nobody wants to go see a house in the middle of August. I understand because you walk outside and you're drenched in sweat. So, coming into September, October is a good time. So if the interest rates do start coming down, I think that a lot of buyers are going to be more excited to come back to the market.
So it sounds like a double-edged sword then. We have one group of people saying, well, I'm seeing a lot more inventory. So let's say I'm a buyer. Yeah. There's a lot of inventory. You need to lower your price. Yeah. You're seeing the sellers who are saying, but Jack and Jill next door sold for $3 million. Who's right, who's wrong? How do you come to terms? Yeah. How do first-time buyers make a decision?
Yeah, if the first-time home buyers are buying $3 million, then they need to give me a call as soon as possible.
Well, are they working? Because you're not going to find a $350,000 house, a single-family house anymore. So whatever number you put on
totally.
It.
I know, I'm just messing with you, but I would say that people need to use the things that can come to their advantage. So if you are listing your house or you are buying a house, you need to make some sacrifices on both sides. So from the seller's perspective, offering things like credits or buy downs, the money towards that so that they can get in at a lower interest rates. Are you guys familiar with buy downs at all? Okay.
But please explain that.
I have seen that is happening on most houses. There is some type of concessions that are, I want to say the statistics like 75% of houses are offering some type of concession. So if using that money to either cover your closing costs or do some type of buy down. Mm-hmm. So a buy down works as you can get up to, I think, a 3-2-1, which is a bit difficult, but basically the seller is giving you money to buy your rate down for the first year, second year, third year, depending on how it goes. So if you get, let's say, a 2-1 buy down, that first year, your interest rate is going to be 2% lower, which is a lot. I mean, when you're looking at a $500,000-$600,000 mortgage, that's going to bring you down $500, $600, $700, $800 over the first year.
And you mentioned first-time home buyers. I feel like a lot of people that I know in their 20s, early 30s, we used to see people in their 20s buying a home. I feel like it's really gone so much later now, people in their 30s or 40s. What recommendations do you have if people are watching this? Can you even buy a home, at this point, depending on what, obviously you're making, it makes a difference.
It does for sure. I think that, a lot of people look at the housing price as like, this is how much it is. And when they look at renting, they see that it's $1,200 a month, 13, 14, 16, whatever the number is per month. Change your mindset a little bit and look at it as a monthly versus over the course. Because if you look at 30 years worth of rent payments, that number is going to be a bit different.
Yeah.
And that number is on average going up. So who knows, if you get an interest rate that's at 6.5%, next year it goes down, you can refinance. Now, I'm not saying that you should buy a house just hoping and praying that the interest rates are going to come down, but it can help. So I think that's for that, looking at it more of a long term. Because I think that social media kind of tricked all of our brains into thinking that everything has to happen right this second. Everything is now. Look at a longer scale. Look at the number per month versus the overall number. So for first time home buyers, starting early. If someone calls me and says, I want to buy in 5 years, I'm like, cool, let's, try to help you figure out a plan that's
Great idea.
over the next few years versus no one buys a house tomorrow. I mean, unless you're an investor or something.
Unless you
win the lottery, I'll buy a house tomorrow.
$1 million house.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's a long process, and 30 years is so long. And most people don't even stay in a house for 30 years. It's on average, I think people stay in the house for like 7 to 10 years.
Well, I'm going to tell you this: we have a 2.99. We're staying in that house for 30
That's
years,
fair.
right?
Understandable.
But we didn't want to. We have been looking, but it was difficult because the buyer or the sellers did not want to come down.
Right.
So here's what we realized though in our neighborhood. So we're in 85254. If anyone is familiar with the magic zip code. here's what I'm seeing. I have at least a dozen homes in our neighborhood now that they have leveled and now they're building really big, really expensive houses. Do we sit tight? Does someone in a situation like that where they're seeing that change sit tight or get out?
I mean, everyone has a different plan in mind. So it could work for you if that's what you want to do. Depending on your location, let's say that it's somewhere else and you are in that 2.99 situation. Maybe you stay there a couple more years and you plan to and make that a rental property. Again, looking at it the long term is more important than just tomorrow. Like tomorrow is going to come and 10 years from now, hopefully, is going to come as well for everybody. But longer term scales looking at things. If you want to stay in that house, if you love your location, then maybe stay for a couple more years, deal with the kitchen that you don't love. It's not perfect. And then do exactly how you want to versus right this second.
Because I've seen a lot of people saying, hey, in 2019, I paid this amount of money for my house. In 2021, it went up. Hey, can I sell it? I can get a different house. I can get this much money. Well, then you're paying that much more money for that other house too. So
plus the mortgage rates are different.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't get enough cash, then you're really the value's not there. And that's a tough decision.
Yeah, it can be. And I think that it's important to realize what you actually want out of something. If you bought that house and you've been in it for 2-3 years and you had 2 kids and now you're like, my walls are caving in. I need more room. Maybe just pushing it one more year. That might bring the interest rates down. You might be able to keep that house. You might be able to sell that house for more. Yeah, exactly. There's lots that you can do. So I think that, again, just even talking with someone, call me. If this is what I want to do. I have all these ideas.
Advice,
what should I do? And I'll be honest, like if you're in a perfect situation, I have 2.99 real interest rate, and it's like, well, maybe if you want to add some turf or do the kitchen or do those kind of things, it might make more sense than moving right now.
Perfect transition because you are a jack of all trades, and not only do you know the market, but you also help people remodel their homes, which I have watched you posting some really beautiful photos. And we have seen a lot of that as well, where people are just improving the property they're in.
Right.
How do you even begin?
Yeah. On what front?
Well, I mean, obviously we're setting a budget, right? But are you seeing people doing total remodels? Are you seeing them do one house at a time?
Yeah, there are. I mean, many people are doing full remodels. I'm not going to say it's not happening, but most people, if you're living in your house and you have a couple projects that you want to do, I would say most people let's do the primary bathroom, then let's do the hall bathroom, and then let's do the kitchen. And it's over the course of, maybe 2 years. I have people that I worked with years and years ago, and they're like, all right, we're ready. Let's do the other bathroom. Some people do it all at once. It's chaos if you want to live through that, or you have to move out of the house and find some type of rental or
go live with the in-laws.
So exactly. So, yeah, I mean, most people do it one step at a time and just making it how you want it over the course of time versus just doing it all at once.
How much more common have you seen it with people flipping homes and then renting them out? Because I think I've seen a lot of people doing that and making a good amount of money doing that, especially in this area.
You can. There are a lot of people that do flips. It can be tough if you don't know where to find them. Finding a house on the market that is able to, flip it and make enough money on keeping it and renting it out can be difficult because, I mean, the prices are high. If you're getting money, most people aren't buying those as with a mortgage on them. They're buying them with cash. They're either getting hard money or they've saved up for a long time or whatever the case. So hard money loans are typically a higher interest rate than a regular mortgage loan. So it's a bit different but there are people doing flips. You see a lot of them, especially on the market. We
have seen a lot of growth in not just the Phoenix metro area, but obviously the outlying areas, probably since COVID.
Right.
I would say, a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, I know how much my rent went up since I came here. I came here during COVID in 2020. I don't need to say exactly how much I pay, but I will say it went up $600 in the last 5 years or $700, and I'm one of the lucky ones who negotiated it lower. So
yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that, because Greg said, sometimes you have to weigh the pros and the cons. You're paying quite a bit.
I think how much I paid on rent. I just got a house 5 years ago. I'm better off.
Right.
Might have been, but I think a lot of people are in that situation where you're kind of stuck. You're like, well, I like where I live. Yeah, it has amenities, it has whatever it may be. But I don't know. Should I buy? Should I rent?
Sure.
What should I do? Again, looking at over the long scale, I think is important. But talk with someone. I mean, find out. If you are paying X amount and you look at a mortgage, you're like, oh, the mortgage is the same for this price amount, then I can maybe in 2 years or 1 year I can make the switch and buy something.
It's interesting. Real estate is so individualized, where you might want to rent or you may want to buy the house, but if you buy the house, who's gonna, I guess, take care of the house, maintain the house? There's so many things to consider. It really is a big step.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's most people's biggest purchase of their entire life. I mean, it's $500,000 is not $1 million, whatever the number may be. It's not like a small jump. It's scary. I totally understand. I've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers that are like, I'm scared. Like I don't, can I even do this? And then when you actually start walking them through things, they see, oh, this isn't as scary as it has to be. Like, especially having someone that knows what they're doing helps a lot. I mean, it's not as scary of a process as it may seem. There's days where it is, you're like, oh my gosh, I just wrote a check for this numbers I've
I
been
say
saving
that
for.
every month with that mortgage payment, even though we have a good rate.
Yeah.
We were talking about growth.
Yes.
So what are the hot areas where you're seeing houses either being built or being flipped or being fixed up?
Yeah.
What's selling?
So the flips can kind of happen anywhere. That's wherever you find the house that's, under market value that you can get in there and clean it up and make it how you want it. Those can be anywhere. The market that I'm typically more so in the East Valley. So I have noticed Southeast Gilbert is booming. Queen Creek is going crazy. They're getting so many different, they have a Costco. I guess that's really all you need to say about Queen Creek.
That brought everybody there.
That really did.
It's a very nice. It's a very nice Costco.
Yeah. Queen Creek is awesome. East Mesa, out past the 202, there's that's a great, if you have a family, that is a great area to be in.
I know Queen Creek has a lot of new builds. Is that what you're seeing in the in Gilbert and Mesa as well?
Yeah, there is a lot of new builds because the new builds are typically on kind of the outskirts of town as they grow and grow. I think that right now new builds are a great opportunity for first-time home buyers.
If if you can do that commute.
And the reason is they're offering good incentives. They're come down a little bit on pricing. They want to work with you to get you into something because they're a business. They want to sell houses. So if they can figure out how to do that, they're going to do that. I still would recommend working with a realtor on a new build just because they work for the builder. They obviously, I'm sure they care about you, but they want to sell that house. So having someone on your team to kind of walk through the process of inspections and things is
How
always
do people
important.
find you?
You can either contact me on social media.
We'll see what happens, huh?
Yeah.
We'll just chat. It's not a big deal. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have fun. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's start.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome on in. Ron is off. Andy Mack joins us.
Hello.
Here as well. Good to see you, my friend.
It's good to be with you guys.
How you doing?
Great
I'm digging
crew.
the shirt.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
Monday.
I went a little casual
Yeah,
today.
you guys matched.
There we go.
It looks
Yeah,
good.
we do.
I think we all look good.
Yeah,
I think you guys look good.
Oh, you know
On
how
a
to win the
Monday.
brownie points. Okay.
They just invite me back, guys. Come on, keep me bringing me down here.
Yeah. Celeste, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. You've had a long day.
I have. It's been
Folks in the stream are like, Anita, Celeste pulling double duty.
And you know what? I think, well, when Ron's off, there's big shoes to fill.
Yes.
So we all chime in and kind of, fill the shoes if we can, best we can. So thank you, Andy Mack, for being
Glad to
here
be
as
here.
well, buddy.
Of course.
Absolutely. So, well, you talked a lot earlier on the stream with Anita. What's happening in D.C.?
Yep.
So I think our viewers have a good recap of everything that's going down there. But let's go to Texas,
Okay, yeah.
where, this fight to redistrict is still on the table. Explain what's happening for all of us in the simplest of terms.
It's hard to understand because you can redistrict and it's for the amount of seats in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. And they usually do it every 10 years when the census comes out, when the influx and the people leaving the state, and you can kind of see how many people are there. They're wanting to redraw the map, and they've redrawn the map in Texas. And what the Democrats are doing so that this new map doesn't get approved is that they're just kind of leaving. They're not in the House of Representatives, they're in the state chambers, they're in Washington, D.C., they're in Chicago, they're in California. So there's 150 Texas representatives. They have to have 100 in the building to vote on something just to have a certain quota of amount of people there. And they have not had that in a week. So it's just kind of a fight. It's a strategy for the Democrats. This is done before. If you talk to people from Texas, they talk about the killer bees. And that was a thing back in the 80s where a bunch of Democrats did leave and they did not get onto quorum. So this is a strategy that's been done. We'll see how long it lasts. It's still going on. There's legal battles. They're getting the FBI involved. It's jurisdiction. They sent the Texas Rangers after them. So this is just continue on.
And with the FBI, their requests now being brought into all of this. As of last week, nobody was sure what the FBI could really do.
Yeah.
Has that changed? I mean,
not really. It's what can you do? The Texas Rangers, it's a jurisdiction. Like if they were inside the state of Texas, they could potentially be arrested. And of course, not arrested necessarily in a criminal way, in like a civil way. So this is not like a criminal charge. But once they're outside the state of Texas, in which they went to Illinois, California, the like, it's like, where are the lines? You're crossing
state lines at that point.
Yeah. Can you be arrested outside of Texas to be brought back to Texas? So they are helping, but it's more just also a strategy on the Republican side to say.
Well, and I think there's a lot of frustration too with people thinking, okay, well, they've got to get some work done somewhere.
Right.
So, I mean, there have been a lot of chatter on social media, and in the chat box, let us know if you have a thought on this. But should they not be paid, or should their paychecks be docked because they're not actually working? And then other people say, well, that's a part of their job to walk out if they're not happy with what they're seeing.
Yeah, and they're trying to represent the people that they are kind of put in that place to do. And also this comes back to also flooding in Texas and funds for that, because that's the reason they brought this together with Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, was like, hey, we need to allocate funds to people in these to make sure everything goes through it. So it's politics. Both sides are playing politics right here, and obviously everyone has an opinion.
What a game.
What a game
Of politics.
It's unfortunate. It's like, when does this cycle end? Like,
what's going to make it come to fruition?
And maybe they're hoping public sentiment changes, and it can be like, hey, like, let's just calm down with the redistricting. We don't need this new congressional map, because as I was talking to you before, this map was already in place.
Right, and typically it's done generally after the census, so it's about every 10 years. But you were just saying it was actually done pretty recently.
Yeah, it was done within the last, obviously, 4 or 5 years, and the Republicans were the ones that signed off on this map. So it's like, hey, you drew the map. Like, why don't you like it 4 years later? So that's also an interesting kind of component to this. And everyone also talks about other states and how their maps look. And it's a similar facet, whether you're on the left or the right. The maps are drawn and they agreed to the maps, or they sign off on the maps as well. So.
And I think Governor Greg Abbott, he actually spoke with Fox News yesterday. So he's going to keep calling for special sessions until the redistricting map can be voted on. Do we want to roll that interview?
Yeah, let's listen to what he had to say.
There is no jurisdictional power for any of these leaders outside of the state of Texas, and they know this. This is a joke.
Actually, the Democratic caucus chair, Gene Wu, he was sued by Governor Greg Abbott, just to give you some context to that. So that was right on point. You might have missed punch, but hey, it's still important.
No, I know. Hey, wait.
It is the House Speaker.
I mean, it's fine.
Hang on, Andy's calling me up.
No,
this is my first time in Ron's chair.
You know what? Actually, he said DPS
good.
is on the ground trying to find and arrest them. He said
that's a happy accident. It's fine.
You're right.
Yeah, good. That's right in line. We need to hear from.
I mean, and that's if they're there locally, right? But
Correct.
most of them are still in other states
outside
of
the state line.
Texas lines.
Yes, so they're kind of everyone basically knows where they are, but we don't
they're
know where
just
they
not
are.
at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to the Israel at war. What is happening there on the other side of the world?
Well, we heard yesterday from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about how they're going to go into Gaza City, and they actually said, and they kind of detailed some of those plans and said it was wider than previously initiated. They laid some of the groundwork of freeing the hostages, making sure that Hamas is not able to put up a fight anymore. We haven't really seen it go into action as of yet, but obviously this is big when you talk about Israel occupying Gaza, and that is a potentially concern because we know how sensitive this whole conversation is. So that is the next step. We'll see what it looks like in terms of the occupation, but according to Netanyahu yesterday, it's going to be bigger than they previously announced last week.
Yeah, and then taking a look at some of the video that you're seeing here, strikes do continue in that area. The IDF tank activity along the Gaza border was pretty active this weekend. Protests breaking out all across Israel and pretty much around the world. And demonstrations are a growing response to, what we've seen happen last week in Israel's cabinet.
Yeah, and everyone's obviously concerned about the humanitarian crisis and the amount of aid or the lack thereof in kind of that region. So there are a lot of conversations about, is that right? Trump did speak with Netanyahu on the phone yesterday about some of this, and we've seen Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. 3 times already during just the early second term of Trump. So we haven't really seen, like I said, obviously still a lot of movement, some violence there on the ground, but it hasn't fully been operational in terms of them occupying Gaza yet.
Well, and we saw a little bit of frustration too from President Trump.
Correct.
A little bit upset with the images that he keeps seeing in that part of the world, and you're kind of seeing that tension build between him and Netanyahu a little bit.
Yeah, and frustrations, and obviously the UN, also the United Nations kind of get involved, saying there needs to be something happening there in terms of this aid getting to Gaza, not only getting to Gaza, but getting to the right people within Gaza, because they say Hamas takes over some of these shipments and they don't give it to the people, so the people are the ones that are really suffering. So there's a lot of components to that.
I believe we have a soundbite too from someone on this story.
Yeah, I'm new at this here. I'm new. Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
AP.
that's what I thought. I was like, I wasn't seeing it on the board here, and I wish we could show the board.
Push whatever you want.
Andy's like, just go for it.
That's what we do upstairs.
We're having fun today with this. So essentially, yes, that's what's happening there, and we're talking about wanting peace between Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Hamas. It just seems like right now everything is still at a bit of a standstill.
Yeah, everything hasn't heightened, hasn't escalated. No one really wants it to escalate. You bring up Russia because that is going to be a big conversation over the next several days.
Oh,
President Trump's
especially come Friday.
Yeah, come Friday when they meet in Alaska. So we'll see if that actually happens. I'm a little hesitant to believe that it actually happens until it happens.
Yes.
But what it looks like, what the conversations are, if there's concessions in land terms.
It seems like there is so much happening.
Yeah.
So you have what's happening in Gaza, you have what's happening with Putin, you have what's happening in Ukraine, you have the tariffs, and you have all these different things, I think, that the White House is dealing with or involved with. And at any point, it's like at some point you think, who's going to drop the item? Like they're just juggling all these different, which makes your job very fun.
Yeah, when the White House press briefing room was filled up this morning. It was just like the conversations about DC, about Russia, about money in the economy. So to throw that into it as well. So they had a bunch of the Trump administration officials, but it's hard to keep up with all of these things, and you can only imagine if you're in charge of it, like Trump is.
And he brought in some of those statistics when it came to all the crime in DC with like the graphs and the information and the data, you know, which is important.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at the data because the city actually came out just last week and saying crime is down. It's not on the rise as much as people may think or be viewing.
So what is the true story there, right? Like, what are people supposed to believe? If you hear from the president that crime is up, but then you hear from the DC mayor, she says crime is down.
Correct.
Well, I mean, which is it?
Yeah, well, and also the fact that they're bringing in the National Guard, which is going to make a lot of headlines, but it's similar to what happened in Los Angeles, which they kind of pointed to as well. But the fact that the National Guard is going to be there, but to protect federal buildings and monuments, we saw that in LA. The National Guard was there. They were on the ground. You could see them and kind of their uniforms, but they were just standing in front of the Metropolitan Detention Center, the federal building in LA. They weren't necessarily arresting people. That could be a similar fashion to what we're going to see in DC.
You know, we have a lot of people. Do you want to throw up the YouTube poll real quick? We have a lot of people voting in the YouTube poll.
Yeah, where is that?
I believe it's right up here.
Is it the poll question?
It's it's a different one. We'll talk about this one first.
Right
oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so here's. Do you agree with Donald Trump deploying the National Guard in Washington D.C. and placing the city's Metropolitan Police under federal control on YouTube? This is wild because it was just launched 3 hours ago, and we have 1.2 thousand votes. But it's 50-50 right down the middle. No, let the city handle it itself. 50% of you say that. And we have 111 comments. Big D. Have you been reading some of these comments? Yeah. All right. Let's go to Big Dave and see if he can read off some of these comments, my friend.
Hey, you did it.
Hey.
Nice job, Des. Good work. Yeah, and Bella's here too. We've
Hi,
got
Bella.
some good comments. But yeah, more than 110 comments already. Terry G6351 says it needs to be done in all states where crime is rampant, and that's quite a few. Crime is out of control. BD3391 says crime is actually down overall in D.C. by 7%, and the violent crime is down 26% from last year. Kevin C. 8955 says the National Guard deployment in LA cost $134 million and they made 0 arrests. If your police department put up results like that, you'd fire everyone. We're paying these guys millions to just hang out on street corners doing nothing. So a lot of passion on this topic. Keep the votes coming. Keep the engagement up, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Big D.
There's some interesting comments because it's like, hey, yeah, you'd want to have everyone be safe and stuff, but you don't really know.
But a unique situation to have the federal government step in and say, we're taking control of the entire police department.
Yeah, when it's a little bit in flux. And LA also said it too. It was just like, hey, like if you thought it was a big deal, like we have the resources to do it. So
I think in Los Angeles, we have, I have a friend who has a daughter in college in LA, and her car was broken into so many times that she I'm winging it. I don't have the script, so I'll just talk about whatever you got. There's no script. Oh, there's no scripts. Okay. Yep. Oh, grocery prices up. Oh, we're coming back.
When? Now?
Mm-hmm. Now, yeah.
And welcome back.
Hi, welcome back, everyone. Here we are.
Yeah, we have a new guest. Dave Folio, Scottsdale Fire. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you.
How
guys.
you surviving the heat, my friend?
Oh my gosh, the first time in August we hit 118. Are we kidding right now?
I know. Is it crazy or what? I know.
Why did I come back from San Diego?
Isn't that like you want to be a firefighter, right?
Well,
you just love the heat.
And I'm one of those guys hiking. I hike Camelback almost every morning. I do the Cholla Trail.
Mm-hmm.
So coming off just Sunday morning, the other morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm that guy.
What
right?
time
like
are you?
8:04. I got off the trail. So I usually I don't want to tell everybody what time I get there because then they'll be trying to meet me. But I get there pretty early. Try and get it done. I try and get off by 7 o'clock. To be honest with you, just because the heat's so crazy. It's like smack you in the face, right? So just want to remind I'm here just to remind people. Don't be that guy. Don't be adult peer pressure to stay on the trail. We get it. You've got people coming into town and you want to hike our trails. We've got over 220 miles of trail system in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve, but we're asking you to start early and end early. You have to right now with this heat.
You're following your own advice.
And I am. So, and I'm that guy too. Where I've been preaching, have the Camelback on your back with plenty of water, a liter of water, and it starts the night before. You have to hydrate the night before you go on these trails because it hits you in the morning. Most of us just want to carry the one bottle of water. That's not enough water realistically because we've been telling people when you get halfway done with your water, turn back and go back to the trailhead. So, we've recently, I was doing a story this morning on our e-bikes. We got e-bikes in the city of Scottsdale now.
How cool.
So I did a post and I'm surprised a lot of people haven't picked up on it, but the post went viral and now we've got people from California, Colorado calling, asking us what we're doing, and Phoenix is trying to catch up.
So run us through the use of e-bikes. How do you use them? And
so we put them on the truck, on the back of the sort truck in a bike rack. The 26th and the 27th, I ended up working at that station and got a call at 8:30 in the morning for a hiker 5 miles in on the trail. So as we're going there, we ping your phone. So it's really important. Gateway Trail. Okay. Really important. We've been telling people have a charged cell phone, right? Yeah. Bring plenty of water, have a charged cell phone, tell people where you're going. This time I looked at the map and she pinged about 3.5 miles out from where we were at. So I deployed the e-bike. So I was the first one. So I was there taking the pictures. Oh, wow. It's on our Instagram, scottsdaleaz.gov/fire. So basically we deploy them onto the trail and they ended up finding the lost hiker because what happened was somebody else called for her. So by the time we pinged the phone, it was actually the person running back to the trail. Recently we've had the fatality on the trail system, and then we were looking for the 14-year-old boy overnight. Yeah. This is a huge tool in the toolbox for us to use to keep our folks off the trail, because when you think about it, it puts the hiker at risk, it puts the firefighters at risk, and it puts the community at risk because all of these units come from outside into our area. We're on the automatic aid system, so you leave those areas unattended. So somebody has a heart attack, we're waiting for another unit to come into those areas. So anything we can do to stop the clock, get to you quick, and we're carrying everything we carry on our engine, advanced life support, on these bikes.
You bring up a good point with the bikes where they're at. Coincidentally, I think for those of you who are watching or hanging with us, the Gateway Trail is in North Scottsdale. Yeah. And it's right near Silverleaf and DC Ranch, Wingate, those neighborhoods. And coincidentally, I just drove by yesterday. I was grabbing my daughter up there, and it's very you don't really realize how dangerous it is. Yeah. But you're right there at the mountain and the desert is there and in the heat of the day. And it can be a little intimidating when you head out, but it doesn't look that way at first.
Right. Because it's super flat, right?
Yes,
and there's zero shade.
Right.
You're not hiding underneath some big pine tree. So there's zero shade. So one of the things we get questioned all the time, why don't we close our trails? So we've done...
I was going to say, Dave, because there's folks in the comments that say Be Kind Forever says they need to close all trails all summer for safety.
So we have the McDowell Sonoran Conservative. They put out 650 stewards. So we have a steward at every trailhead giving you an education. We've approached it from a standpoint of we want to educate you and allow you to make a good decision. It is really impossible for us to close our 220 miles worth of trail. Yeah. It's easier for Camelback, for instance. They've got 1.2 to the top, and then if you go up and over, it's 3 miles. So what I've witnessed, and I witnessed this just yesterday when I came off the trail, the signs there, Here comes a bunch of young kids up. It's closed. It's 8:05. They wait for somebody exiting the trail, and they just go right through the gate.
That's what happens.
So that's what happens. I sat there and watched it over and over.
And Brandy, I believe, Brandy the bookworm says, question, stupid hikers law, like the stupid motorist law, agree or disagree? But there's a slippery slope with that. You want folks to call for help if they need help,
Personally, I agree, but we want people to call for help. And that's kind of what the survey's done that they've done. And then, so our trails, we've noticed we get less people. When Phoenix closes their trail, everybody has this false sense that our trails are closed. Our trails are still open. We're just asking you, and we're educating you with tons of literature as you walk in to give you an opportunity to get a water, turn back, and then just be educated on it. So, that has to be an ordinance where we cite you, and it has to go through city council. And you got to remember, so we've worked with our Experiencing Scottsdale. Every book in the hotels, we've got a page in there now. So we recently just did that. So we all look at those books when we go in there, right? So there's a 2-page thing of hiker safety and when to go, when not to go, start early, end early.
So is all of this working? The ordinance, the pamphlets,
is working for us, believe it or not.
Coming on here and talking about the dangers over and over
so
again.
I don't want to jinx this, but it is working for us because when have you seen we had a rescue? The 27th, I was on that last one, and we've had 2 since, but they were really ankle twist, and the other one, I can't remember what that one was, and believe it or not, it's locals. When you do the numbers, it's locals that we're running on because they do it every day, and then all of a sudden the heat crimps up on them. And
I was talking to a cardiologist, it might have been a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how we don't think about it. He had a patient who was training for to climb Mount Everest. Yeah. And he talked about how the pressure that Mount Everest puts on your lungs is very similar to the pressure that the heat puts on your lungs. So that's why people will train out here sometimes in the summer.
It's like going to the elevation.
Exactly.
So they're getting acclimated to the heat is what they're doing. And a lot of these guys do, they compete. Back to our trails too. You got to remember, we could close the trail. We can put up the gate. Yeah. But people go around the gate. We don't have a full fence system around the 220. And there's access points. That access point, I went on that one where we deployed the bikes. Right. I actually went into a cul-de-sac in the Silverleaf area because we have identified areas where there's a guy on Pinnacle Peak. We literally walk through his backyard when they're swimming to do a rescue because the Pinnacle Peak Trail runs along his back fence. But it saves us probably 30 minutes of hiking on that trail to get to that patient. So we've identified all those areas where we can access patients.
So how fast are those e-bikes going?
So I think we saved 45 minutes of our cruise. I deployed out on a cart on that incident, and they were probably, I would say, another 45 minutes away from where I was at. They got there before the helicopter, and they started treating the patient, which we have arts on those bikes too. They're aircraft rescue technicians. They can make the determination whether we're going to big wheel you off or we're going to call in Firebird 10 for the hoist operation. Yeah. So
and before the e-bike, you were doing what and using what?
We're hiking in. Hiking in.
That's a lot of valuable time.
So that 14-year-old at night that we couldn't find, we found him the next morning. I really think if we'd have had an e-bike and went up over the hill onto that, because those gateway links into all kinds of different trails. It kind of weaves in and out. It's crazy. But we couldn't walk that area, and our cart couldn't get there where the bikes would have gotten there.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that you guys were able to have. I mean, the technology that we have now, and those go very fast. Yeah. And you can use them. Are they e-bike mountain bikes?
Yeah, they are mountain bikes, and we've posted them on our Instagram, and I'll share them with you guys
and how new are these to the department?
Literally,
how many do you have?
First deployed was 27th, and I was lucky enough to be working overtime.
Were they special training for those bikes?
There were.
Because
so they had to
fast.
go through training. They had to ride them. They had to take a test on the manual. So there was a bunch of training we did before we implement them. We're looking to get 4 more. Phoenix is, I hear, getting 4 of them so they can put them on their rigs.
You have how many right now?
We have 2 off the backside of our truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
at some point, you'll be able to man like a volunteer e-bike crew.
Yeah,
like we do in our we do in our rural communities in Arizona, and then they can help go out if need be.
So not just hiking, heat in general, construction. So we've changed the way we do business. Every morning at 8:15, 8:30, our alarms go off, and all the automatic aid stations across the valley reminding us it's an excessive heat day today. It's 105. limit your activity outdoors. So we've changed everything we do. All tabletop exercises. If we had a ladder drill, we've had a lot of new people on our rigs, right?
Yes.
Because our turnover is crazy right now. But those guys need to train, and we've held back because if it's over 105, we're not going to go out and cut a hole. We're not going to go to the training center. Right now, we just started a training center actually this morning at our new academy with 31 new recruits. So
Have we shown off your new academy?
We got to
come out there and go live.
Can we take this?
Can we do the stream?
Give it a try.
Yeah. Well, I actually did it with Phoenix Fire years ago and rappelled from a 4-story building.
100%.
I put the whole thing on the oxygen mask and I climbed through a burning building. It was quite intense. You all have an amazing.
And what is
ability to do the job.
What is training like for these recruits?
It's a 14 to 16 week ordeal, and it's everything because a lot of them aren't firefighter 1 and 2. So literally this morning they're doing physical training. They get about 4:35 in the morning, and then go right into classroom, and then go into a skills course where they learn how to extricate, they learn how to ventilate, they learn how to pull hoses, they learn how to pull back hoses. Like they from beginning to end they learn it in this academy. So we're changing the way we do some of that academy and move it into our bay, for instance, instead of being outside, or we'll just do those more strenuous activities really early and be done early.
Well, we got to bring a crew out there to go live for sure. Show it off and what you guys do on a day-to-day basis.
We appreciate you guys because it's a dangerous job.
You're more than welcome to come on out.
All right. Okay, we'll be there. Tomorrow.
Even construction workers, limit your work cycles. So let's talk about heat exhaustion, heat stroke real quick.
Okay. Really quickly.
Real quick. Heat exhaustion, you start feeling dizzy, you're lightheaded, you're starting to throw up. That's heat exhaustion. When you start feeling passed out and you're still throwing up and stuff like that, that's heat stroke. That needs to be a 911 call.
Okay.
But drink plenty of water, hydrate, and
pre-hydrate. Hydrate. Always good to see you.
Thank you guys.
Dave.
Have some pickles.
Yes.
Have some IV.
Drink the pickle juice.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hang out with us real quick. You're going to get to meet our T-shirt winner of the Fox 10 Talks T-shirt. This is Mr. Pavline and
Alex Waterman. Yeah.
Okay, but he's... Oh, Mr. Pavline's employee.
Yes.
Okay, it just says Mr.
I recognize the surrounding. And so Mr. Pavline and Alex Waterman, thank you so much for watching and joining us. FTT in-house.
You got to run.
So we have still about 30 seconds left. Sorry, you guys. Look at Dave. Look at what happens when they put me in charge of all the buttons. I just lose my mind here.
We can tell the pickle story.
Dave's still hanging out with us. We didn't get to Mystery Camp today. Oh, no. These folks might get me tomorrow on this one. All right. Join us tomorrow.
The best. Fox 10 News at noon.
Now at noon, a deadly wrong-way crash causing a big scene on the Valley Freeway. What we're learning from investigators. And this.
President Trump is taking over the police force in Washington, D.C. and sending in the National Guard to combat crime. I'm Rebecca Castor with the details just ahead.
Plus, keep your eyes open. DPS issuing a new warning after road debris causes major damage. What they say you can do to protect your car and yourself out on the roadway. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 10 News at noon. We begin with new details on a very chaotic and a deadly scene overnight on our Valley Freeway.